This is the first time I've ever lived alone and I've ever lived for myself. And it is the greatest achievement, maybe, of my life. Whenever I was in college and very much in a relationship with somebody that I love very much, I wrote down in a journal of mine pages and pages of this life that seemingly completely revolved around me and the activities that I would do and the way my place would look, and just this kind of paradise for myself. And around this time now, I come into my studio, and I lay on my couch, and I'm at peace for the first time. And I think I had been letting other people interfere with work, I think, real work that needed to be done for myself. And to me, that work is knowing myself. And so today I looked up where that famous quote from Socrates, "Know thyself," comes from. And it comes from a text like nobody really knows much about. The first Alcibiades. Alcibiades is the person that Socrates, who is supposed to be the person that Plato is kind of the mouthpiece for. Alcibiades is the person that Socrates is speaking to, somebody that wants to be a part of political life. In this famous conversation between the two of them, Socrates advises that it's important to know oneself before you can help another person, before you can be involved in really any social activity, before you can conduct any civic duty whatsoever. And it's not so much politics for me at this point in my life, but something really resonated with me when I read that conversation between the two of them, that you need to know what belongs to you so as to know what does not belong to you. You need to know yourself so that you can know others, or so that you know how to distinguish yourself from other people. And this is very hard to do, I think. I think it's an important message because it's so hard to know what you want, especially when you love people so much, when you care so much about others. Their preferences infiltrate your own, and that can be okay for many people. But for me, it caused great confusion and so many problems, to the point where I hurt people that I loved because I didn't know what belonged to me and what belonged to them. I named this video, "You could be yourself or you could be them," because it's that powerful, that socialization, the power of empathy. And there's a famous Oscar Wilde quote. He said, "Most people are other people." And that comes from De Profundis, which has been a very impactful text for me. That was Oscar Wilde's very long letter to his lover who ruined his life. And Oscar Wilde repents through so much of that letter. He admonishes himself for reaching out to the public for help in a case of defamation, when he realized that he was straying from his most important goal of being an individual, and that brought him to his ruin. But I think I can stand a little bit outside of my individual perspective to know that it's not just me that gets hurt in those moments, but it's the people around you too. I know that individualism may seem like selfish. It's me or nothing. It's my way or the highway. But really, individualism is so much about caring about yourself as it is caring for other people. I am a self-proclaimed individualist, and I think that it's my duty to be in this space, where I feel like I can spread my wings and I can feel at peace, so that I can conduct myself properly going forward. I think it is a serious matter to be an individual. I think it is serious to know what you want, to know yourself first before you can go and help another person, before that irresistible, overwhelming emotion of empathy, to want to help another person, to want to put yourself in the position where you have to give something that you don't have, if that makes sense. As I said before, I think being in this space, being able to create this place as I like it, having my little corner of the world, my own moon and stars and crickets and all these little things that seem like they're just for me, I think that it helps me to be a better person. Being an individual is also a social practice, That's why I've preached that solitude on this channel. Solitude is so, so important. Here I feel sheltered, away from the world, away from other perspectives, away from influences, so that I can get things right. So I can align myself, so I can configure myself, calibrate myself, so that my aim is pure and true when I go out into the world. And maybe it may sound like I'm saying like the same thing over and over again in like a different type of metaphor, but I really want to hit it home, because in that text, Alcibiades, the premise is that Socrates is speaking to somebody who is going to go into a life of service, right? A civic duty. And this is not just, I'm speaking, I guess, from an artist, from a creator's standpoint. An artist and creators are usually kind of solitary. They stand alone a lot of the time. They live on the fringe. But this is also an important message for people who are, I think, going out into the world to help others. They are dedicating their life to service, to social service, to humanitarian practices. I think we have it so wrong. I think so many people today are hurt, they're wounded. And because they're wounded, they see another wounded person and they think that they have common ground because of that hurt and because of that pain. And while that may be true, that's a pain everyone shares. But that pain blinds somebody, I think, to everything else that makes a person capable of conducting themselves in a way that makes their life unique, that affords them memories that they can share at a table and another person can listen and they may not have that same memory, right? So what I'm trying to say with that is an individualist standpoint means that everyone is different, and it means that everybody can come to that table and they can have a different story to share, and we can all feed off of that energy. So if it was all the same, if we were all the same person, if we all had the same pain, we can bitch and complain about that same thing, like, oh, I empathize with you. But there's no learning there, right? An individual, someone who is different, someone who is other, is offering the possibility of growth, the propensity for change, and learning something new. So the less you are like other people, the more you are able to teach, the more you are able to bring new information to the table. And I think the world is a much better world, right? If it's a diverse world. We've been fighting, against imperialism and this very singular way of thinking, the like whitewashed way of looking at history, right? We've been fighting against that for some time now. And trying to say like, no, there's multiple ways to look at history, right? I'm surprised when people are reluctant to listen to somebody who preaches individualism rather than selflessness, rather than being empathetic. Because that's really like what we've been striving for, right? Isn't it, in today's day, that like we want to hear from a different perspective. We want to hear from someone who's other, who is different from us. And I think that's exactly what individualism is trying to achieve, is so that everybody has their own way of thinking things, and it's solid. You've sat in your life, in who you are, you know who you are, and you can bring that to the table to continue using that with a measure of authenticity. And I think we need that more than ever today. We need more of ourselves than we do just the same type of person over and over and over again. You see this in social media. More people are living together. More people are sharing rooms. Less people have a room for themselves. And more people want to be like other people. And I think that just more of the same is just repeating history, and maybe we don't even recognize that our empathy and that our reluctance to sit in that uncomfortable space, that reluctance to sit there, to sit alone at the table, it makes for a very bland, very gray world. We don't need more of the same thing. We don't need tons and tons of new movies coming out that are rehashing old ideas in new ways. We need new ideas. We need fresh perspectives that we've never even heard before. And I think it has to do with something as simple as the metaphor of this apartment that I'm in right now. Once you've had enough time, whether for me, I'm comfortable now. Some people being in that space by themselves is extremely uncomfortable. But once you sit in it for some time and you get to this point where you can be at peace, then you can go out and you can sit at that table with all those people and you can find joy in that too. It's almost like an initiation. And believe me, I felt it. I felt it too. Whenever I first closed the door, my parents had left that day, and I sat in this apartment for the first time ever alone, and I was scared. My first emotion in this apartment was fear, because I knew that I was alone, and that this was a true test of my individuality if I was serious about it. I get the fear, but it went away. It went away. And like all of these pains that I was feeling before, just they're fading. I realized it had to do with this removal of other people from me. Maybe this is just like some rambling, but I for like the first time, I don't need noise. I really am just like in my own space, to use the words from Blanche from A Streetcar Named Desire. This is the cleft of the rock of the world that I can hide in, and I want to hide for a while. I'm happy to, and then I will emerge, and I will be able to go back into society and be happy among the crowd as an individual in that crowd, and share my unique experience with other individuals, hopefully as well. And we can all just continue to learn and grow and share, but not share more of the same, but share new perspectives on the world. I hope you all have a great evening. Enjoy your solitude if you have it. Enjoy the company that you're in if you're in it.